Well, I think the message here really is something to, for people to learn that, this type of high-tech stuff, you're an actress, and yes, you have some fame to you, but you're not a president, you're not a governor that people are trying to get something out politically. This could happen to anyone in any type of job or any type of situation. And so it's either, fight back, empower. I like that you're using this. That word's been used a lot in recent years and used with political agendas. But in your case, it really works here. You're empowered because you say, hey, you're coming to me. Guess what? I have an answer.
Well, and, just to be fair and realistic, I know that I have a chance now.
Yeah.
Because
well put. Yep.
A gun isn't, it's not the savior. You have to know what you're doing. It's no joke. It could be used against you if you hesitate. Who knows? You don't know who your opponent is necessarily. You have to know what you're doing. And because I do now, and I feel like I'm well trained, I know that I have a chance. And that is huge because a chance was nowhere near me before. And the thing, I study body language quite heavily and have for a long time. And even if for women, that ounce of a little more security changes their whole demeanor. And if you study, predator or prey selection with a predator, that's everything. So what that sets in motion, even women having a firearm and just standing up straighter, could change your whole trajectory.
And so the advice is to others, not only to protect yourself, but to be trained properly and to get that right mindset all around, and that way, you can be ready for the unexpected, for lack of a better term.
Look, even the best trained guys have fumbled here and there.
Yeah.
It's not like once you learn, you know it forever. And another thing I tell women, make sure, after you get comfortable with your firearm, you know how to operate it without the lights on. Like you really know what you're doing. Start moving around if you're at a range, because if you have it for security, you're going to be in your house. You're not at a range in a lane plinking. You have to get used to lateral movements, up, down, left, right, maybe a friendly in the room. You don't know what the situation's going to be. It's like find a really good, probably someone who has a lot of combat experience to teach you, because that's reality.
And you mentioned
you're not going to get attacked at the range, and when you're just standing still, do it on the move.
You mentioned in this episode, too, a little bit about yourself, about, how you threw yourself into the acting career. You didn't know if things would work out, but you had that type of attitude. You had that type of confidence already in yourself, and you thought you were street smart, and you thought that you knew stuff. Obviously everybody's different. You think all women and even men could empower themselves through a firearm as long as the training is the right way? Because you seem to have that right attitude and, a person who's going to fight. Some people may be a little more nervous or a little worried. What would you say to them to just take it step by step, maybe?
Absolutely. Don't rush it, because, one of the things that kind of bugs me about people that do support the Second Amendment, and I do 1,000,000%, is they don't recognize that it still is a dangerous object. It is. It's designed to protect you, to hurt the other, to level the situation. The training, that has to be understood every day, and to never rush it. Start, muscle memory is so crucial with having a firearm, because it's a huge responsibility, not just to yourself, but a friendly in the room. And you have to be trained for that type of awareness, and then you bring duress under it or into the situation. And even the best trained people probably have difficulty occasionally functioning under high duress. And that would just be totally human and normal. And, all of these things are important if you're getting it for security. Now, if maybe you just want to do some matches, some rifle matches. Super hard to do, but maybe not the movement is so important. But mine's for security. So that means I'm going to be moving around my place. There might be someone else there. I have to know what I'm doing, right?
Absolutely. And if people want to see more, it's an amazing episode. Outdoor Channels, NRA All Access, and it features Kelly Carlson, who obviously has the right attitude here and is now empowered and married and the whole 9 yards and feeling good. And before we let you go, we got to talk to you briefly about the rest of your career. You were in the Marine. You've done a lot of great things, but most people know you as Kimber from Nip Tuck. I was a fan of the show. I watched every one of them, and you know, that program, I mean, truth be told, let me tell you this. The raunchy parts, I was good. Yeah. The crazy parts, I was good. I was the wimp who would squint my eyes during the plastic surgery. I'm not a big operating guy, even if it's fake. But, yeah, what a program. And you know, what I say to a lot of people about Nip Tuck is, you know, they look at the content and they say, oh, well, wait a minute, or whatever. But what you did so well on that show is, even though, you know, the basic of it were about what it was about, I compare you to The Sopranos and to American Horror Story and to Dexter, and I do it in this way. A lot of it was crazy, a lot of it was raunchy, but there was also humor. There was also a lot of it dark humor. There was also relation to characters. There was also great writing. And so all of that came together, even though there were a lot of people in that show that were unsavory at the end of the day. How was that experience, and what did you think of that whole Kimber following? Because you were a very popular character.
Yeah, no, and that's because of the writing. You know, they made my character who she is. But let me tell you, I've not done a job since that I've had more fun. Like, everything's like, well, this person's stable that I'm playing, and that's no fun.
Yeah, she was not that. That's for sure. None of them were. I will say, I was rooting for you to be the Carver during that whole thing. That was my favorite storyline because it was terrifying and it was so interesting. And, you know, that was that old talk about it the next day with people kind of stuff, like, who do you think it is, and the way that was promoted.
You know, we didn't know who the actor was either. So, like, when we had to go on set with the Carver, like when he hacked me up, and I didn't know who it was. They wouldn't allow us to know him, which was great psychology for acting. But, we all found out at the end, too, with you.
Some of these episodes, I mean, they just still stand out. I haven't seen the show in years, and, you know, just...
What stands out?
Oh, just some of the things that happened. You know, one was, remember the woman who would stuff people like teddy bears? She would kill them. And then
Cagney and Lacey.
Yes.
I'm forgetting her name. She won an Emmy.
Did she really? Yeah, I've referenced that to colleagues. I'd be like, oh, yeah, this woman basically, you stuffed them like Build-A-Bears.
yes, with the buttons in the eyes.
Oh.
So creepy and dark. I mean, but so she was so good. I mean... But not everybody can play that well.
But I will tell you something that stands out, and I wonder if anyone's ever said this to you, but me and a colleague, it is her favorite too, and I just absolutely love this, and I actually sent this link to her a few weeks ago because I stumbled upon it again. When you guys did that video and lip-synced the Brighter Discontent song by the Submarines... That was unbelievable, and it's a great song. First of all, I knew that. I actually knew that song, believe it or not, before. I think I heard it on MySpace to date when that happened. But
I haven't heard that in years.
Yeah, right. But I do when you guys lip sync that, and then had not only you and some of the women actors, but the men lip syncing with the female voice. It was incredible and just great.
Yeah, I've never had anybody say that, but that shows me kind of the type of thinker you are. You don't necessarily, you don't take things at face value. You're looking much farther.
Oh, absolutely. You got to, well, that's me with most things. It's 0 or 100, like whether it's my sports or my politics or my even, things as silly as TV. Like if I get into it 0% or 100, you got to know the whole thing. And it was great. Larry Hagman was great. It's a shame he passed away during the filming. He was tremendous. And everybody, you interacted with it. The cast was just so good. And it was just, the other shows that I compared it to, the other thing you had in common was here you found yourself rooting for people and then stepping back and going, yeah, but they're a terrible person.
I know. And, because they, gosh, it's been a while since I talked about it. They were aware, and they didn't. You know how people are not aware of their horrible behavior? It's different than somebody who's kind of aware and tries to make amends, but also the show never condoned bad behavior. We all had repercussions, which is good psychology for the viewer.
Yeah, you're right. That was it. It did show that it didn't win in the end, but during some of it, people they would choose sides and root for y'all. So unbelievable.
We would have actors come on like Melissa Gilbert and Brooke Shields, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is kind of the essence of it. It's like, I need to dirty up my image a little. What can you give me?
That is pretty cool. That not just those two, but the guest spots were great. You would say, oh, man, that person's going to be on. What are they going to do? And you're right. Brooke Shields, Melissa Gilbert, I mean, those are people you don't think of in those types of weird situations. And people love that. And that was it. It was the shock factor, but it wasn't forced. And it was stuff that really came across. And, your role was appreciated. You did a wonderful job on that program.
Thank you. I loved every single second of it. Every second.
Well, Kelly,
I never took it for granted. It was a real miracle, actually. So thank you. Thank you for appreciating it and loving it, because I did too.
Yeah, well, Kelly Carlson, you are a tremendous actress, and we're very happy about what you've done here, and not only spreading the word about being pro-Second Amendment, but showing women and showing everyone that you can empower yourself in the toughest of situations, and most people will not be in a situation like this. So if you could overcome something like this, it could show someone who's having just that protection that they need can do that. And people that want to check this out, it's the Outdoor Channel, NRA, All Access, and Kelly Carlson on there talking about this security breach and this crazy situation that she overcome, and found love out of it too. So always a silver lining.
People call my husband Farmer because he was my bodyguard. I married him.
Love it, and please thank him for his service, and thank you for being with us on the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio, and all the best to you, Kelly.
Thanks, you too, Kevin. Thanks for having me on.
For more on Kelly Carlson and her appearance on Outdoor Channel, head to outdoorchannel.com/NRA-all-access. That's outdoorchannel.com/NRA-ALL-access.